Hi everyone, welcome. My name is Karina Quintanilla. I am Councilwoman in the City of Palm Desert, and we're here for community conversations from inside the beautiful council chambers in City Hall. And I have with us here Monica Morones from West Coast Cannabis Club in Melanie Place. She's the general manager and is here to talk to us today about what it's been like to be an essential worker during the pandemic. Straight off the bat, how can you describe for me how your life has changed since the pandemic?
Between business and my personal life, I feel like it's changed considerably, as most people's has, and a year ago around this time we had opened up our big beautiful store, West Coast Cannabis Club Melanie Place, and amongst the pressures of having the stress of opening up a new store, we had this big old beautiful building, 30,000 square feet. It was the old KESQ building. So much preparation. We had our grand opening, and we had so much support from the community, from our friends and our family. That same week, it was a matter of, are we shutting down? And the questions came, are we essential? What is essential? And are we gonna have to make cuts? Am I gonna lose my job? Is the company gonna stay afloat? Are we gonna turn into zombies? All these questions were valid, and it was just so much concern. And so I felt I had to stay resilient and, get my staff and I through all of this, on top of staying safe and just making sure that we were available to still help people out there.
If you could look back on what you've learned a year later, what advice would you give yourself on that day when you were faced with all of these questions and the uncertainty? What would you tell yourself looking back?
To figure out how to roll with the punches a little bit better. I feel like I like to control things. I'm a manager, so I like to control everything. So I feel like I could tell myself, just take it day by day, and which we did. That was literally, we had to take it day by day. We didn't know what was going to happen one day to the next. So that's what I would tell myself.
For me, it's been calling it liquid planning. You can set your plans a day, a week in advance, but your plans have to be liquid and shift and adapt. So I think that's been the lesson for everyone. Adaptability is the way to get through things. That's, I think, what we've all learned. What would you say has been the biggest impact on you and those around you?
Maintaining the safety of our staff, our health, and business continuity. It's, being a general manager, I didn't just have to worry about myself, I had to worry about everyone and the store and what that means to stay open in something like this when that happens. And so I felt like the safety protocols, the everyday cleaning, every time somebody comes in, we wiped everything down, the handles. It was such a cycle, and so that was the biggest impact, just reshifting everything to make sure that we could go to work every day, and that when we did go to work, we practiced all the safety precautions we could. And the other side of that is putting our lives at risk. In the beginning, it was when people were saying, they weren't going to go to work. Some of us didn't have an option of that. Like, we have to stay open, and it was hard to basically do I bring this back to my house, to my family? Do I risk their lives? What do I do? So a lot of the staff, they had a lot of the same concerns. Like, I need to work? They're not working. It was very trying for everybody, and I'm proud of our staff specifically because they really pulled through. We had so many great experiences with the customers. We have some great customers.
I had a conversation with someone recently talking about when things get better, not back to normal, but the conversation we had is about things getting better, because there's things that we've realized that we can do with greater efficiency or with greater empathy with the pandemic. And so as we look at how things are going to get better, what are you most looking forward to doing post-pandemic?
To be honest, to not worry. That would probably be my biggest thing. And to travel. I really like to travel, but my biggest thing would be, if we're going to be honest, is not to worry all the time. I would love to not do that.
That is a very heavy burden, absolutely. So once that gets packed away in a suitcase you never want to see again, where are you traveling to?
Well, I'm going to Hawaii next month, and then I'm probably going to be going to Europe, and I'm not sure after that.
Well, safest travels. That sounds amazing. Looking forward to seeing the pictures from that. From your perspective, is it important to reopen the economy, and why?
Absolutely. We can't eat if we don't have jobs, and we can't pay our rent if we don't have jobs. And you know, the commonality that comes to mind is survival. And I think it's important that we reopen.
And how do you think that your life will improve when we are able to reopen businesses back to normal?
That's a difficult question. There's so many different perspectives. For me personally, I can't wait to eat in a restaurant. I actually went out to eat the other night in a restaurant, indoor dining for the first time in over a year. It was really disarming. Like, I almost got claustrophobic. And being around people indoors, I felt a little funny about it. So I would like to relax, be around people again, and not worry about, oh, they're too close to me, or are they 6 feet, or they're wearing a mask. So I definitely would like to be social again.
Absolutely. Those are great points, and I appreciate your honesty about how it's a difficult call, about how we are looking forward to the fun, but the worry is still there.
Yeah.
And we have to continue to be cautious, and we know that we're going to keep wearing masks for a while. We know that we're at risk of continued spikes, and it takes everybody's continued effort. But I think it's very very real to be apprehensive and to have an awareness of 6 feet at all times. How do your experiences as a manager help shape your experiences as a customer?
Well, when I go to other establishments now, I definitely make sure that my mask is always on. It's above my nose. It's really important that when people come into a place of business, it's very important that their mask isn't below their nose like this. And to keep it up would be so great. To wear a mask, I know it's intrusive and it's a hassle. But for this past year, we had such a great outcome of no sickness at our store, between the masks, between the cleanliness, between all of our safety procedures that we followed. I feel like it worked for us, and anytime I go out, I follow everything the same way. And I definitely would like to ask everyone out there to be nice and wear a mask and practice social distancing, because it really does work.
And I always thought that was wonderfully considerate, that somebody would think, I'm not feeling well, I don't want to pass that on. It wasn't ever, I think you are going to get me sick. It was a matter of respect, and I appreciated that. And so I'm hoping that is something that I think we will keep for a while. I don't think that, maybe 20 years from now people will still be wearing it, but I think that in the next handful of years we will see people conscious that we can keep ourselves healthier from flus. I think it may be also a change in culture that people understand you don't have to go to work if you're that sick. If your industry allows you to work from home, it's possible to do that so that you're keeping your coworkers healthier, your families are healthier. And I think overall we've learned a lot to be flexible. We've learned to be more empathetic. Yes, empathy and compassion are critical.
In business especially, you're right. Giving somebody a day off that doesn't feel well. Doesn't matter if you have to work extra, just make it happen. And I feel like that's why we were so successful this past year.
If you can talk a little bit more on that, there was a lot of businesses that struggled so much with just employees that they had to keep replacing. And I think in some industries, their workers felt that they were not essential employees, but almost sacrificial employees. Mm-hmm. Can you talk about some of the measures that you put in place to protect your staff and your customers?
Absolutely. We started with, if anyone felt any type of fever, any type of sickness, did not feel good whatsoever, we would ask them to stay home. Doesn't matter. We would figure it out. I would figure it out. And if someone came to work and then they're like, oh, I'm not really feeling that well, same thing. You know what? You need to leave. And we did offer sick pay, and we did hazard pay, and we tested right away. Anytime anyone was exposed or said that they've been exposed, we tested everyone. And they couldn't come back to work until they got a negative result. And so I feel, that contributed to also our success. And we sanitized everything. Every time someone came into the building, we sanitized the doorknobs, we sanitized anything that they touched every single time, even if that meant making the next person wait just a little bit longer. And yeah.
It's worth the wait to know that you're stepping in somewhere that has been cleansed and sanitized before you step in there, and that's the peace of mind that customers are looking for. And I think you've done a great job of letting your customers feel safe, and I'm very appreciative for West Coast Cannabis Club and the other dispensaries that were able to come to the need of Palm Desert and the rest of the surrounding cities. And I was very thankful to see that when all of the numbers were counted up, Palm Desert is in a better place than we could have been given the pandemic and all of the businesses and the hotel taxes and the sales tax that didn't come in. And so cannabis was a big, strong support for the city during that time. And it's important to recognize the essential employees that made that all possible. So thank you, thank your staff.
Absolutely.
And all of the people behind the scenes as well, from the growers to the packers and the trimmers, all of the entire industry supply chain that made this all possible.
Absolutely.
So thank you.
And to our customers as well, When you go, a lot of people came to us because they had to stay at home and there was quarantine and there was nothing else to do. And so a lot of our great customers, they were smoking a lot, or however they like to ingest their cannabis. And so a lot of them would always say, thank you so much for being open. And we're just like, we're right there with you. Thank somebody for keeping us open, because being essential was definitely something that needed to happen for us. And yes.
What could a first-time visitor expect if they visit West Coast Cannabis Club?
Well, besides great service, we have so many different medicinal options and recreational options. Cannabis isn't just used for fun, for recreational use. It's also used for medicine. And we have a lot of first-timers that come in there that need help with arthritis and so many different variations of migraines and CBD. How do I take CBD? And we spend so much time. I think our average wait time per this store is double the other stores, because we have the clients there that come in that really need the information to try this new product. Cannabis is medicine, and that's definitely what we want to teach people. And so when they come in there asking every question from back pain, knee pain to
Insomnia.
There's so many things I could go on. Absolutely. Anxiety is a big one. And so we have all those options, and it's just the trick of getting them to understand that it is medicine and to try it. And generally, we can give you a general recommendation. This is usually what happens, and let's go for it and try it and see what works for you,
Absolutely, and it's a great point that you touch on, that it's before it was recreational, it was strictly medicinal. And if I'm not mistaken, it may have been California that led the nation with Prop 215, or I think Prop 215 was the first one. And so California's been the vanguard of that, and I'm very happy to see that the views of changing. It's no longer just something that is viewed as rebellious children are doing. It is medicinal. This is something that is bringing quality of life improvements to people that are in chronic pain, people that are undergoing chemotherapy and need an appetite stimulant. So it's been wonderful to meet with patients, and as I talk to people about advocacy, and they say, well, how does Palm Desert feel? Or in campaigning, and people saying we don't need more, or those saying, well, we need more because in this part of Palm Desert, it's too far for me. So in having all of these conversations with the public, it's great to see how the perspective is changing, the conversations are changing, but at the heart of it, it's a plant. It's a plant and it's medicine, and there are wonderful providers such as West Coast Cannabis Club in the city of Palm Desert, with 2 locations in Melanie Place and off of Highway 111.
Yes.
And your hours?
Hours are from 9 to 9:50 every day. And we also have a location in Cathedral City as well.
And delivery?
Absolutely, and delivery as well. And that is from Rancho Mirage to Indio.
Perfect. Well, thank you for your time. I greatly
Thank you.
appreciate the service that you do for the city, for all of the shoppers across the valley that come to your stores. Thank you for your time and for providing an essential service during the pandemic.
Thank you for having us.